Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Lautaro.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the post-match reaction on the Rangers Journal from the game Rangers against Kilmarnock at Ibrox today. I'm Tomo, your host tonight, and I'm joined by Doug. If you tuned in earlier, we spoke a little bit about the game pre-match, and it's a bit of a rarity this season, but we're here to speak about a Rangers win, and in my opinion, a very good win. Doug, how are you feeling after that?
Yeah, really good. I think that was almost a perfect day, really, and we got all the things we talked about. I think in the pre-match, in terms of the players looked a lot more on it. Ball was moving quicker. They looked far more interested. A lot of the players that have been poor this season looked much better, and they looked like they knew what they were doing for most of the game. Apart from a little spell in the tail end of the first half where Kelly got their goal, dominated from start to finish pretty much. So good signs, good early signs. A lot of changes and stuff from Daniel throughout the game as well, which I thought was really interesting and gives us plenty to talk about.
Most definitely, can't disagree with you there. If you're just tuning in, get involved in the comments, and we'll bring a few up to speak about. We spoke a lot pre-match, Doug, about obviously the start of the lineup. How will we play? It looked like we went a back three with five in midfield, having Tavernier, Suter, and Cornelius as centre backs, with Magoma and Gassama as the wing backs, and then a midfield three of Raskin, Diamande, and Asgard, with Danilo and Majovski up front. I think that was one of the formations we didn't actually talk about pre-match. Did that surprise you?
Not too much. Like you say, we didn't really touch on that a lot, but I think we mentioned three at the back as a possibility for something they might change into from what we thought he was going to do. And I mean, let's say throughout the match, I think I counted about 4 different formations we played during the game, as he tweaked little things. As you say, we kind of settled into that 3 at the back and the winger backs pushing high. Magoma was much more impressive, I thought, in this game than he has been in recent games. And yeah, like I say, just they looked organised. They looked like they knew what they were doing. And it was just it really was night and day to the performances we've been getting up until now, and particularly obviously the one on Thursday.
Yeah, we started the game really on the front foot, as you would like to expect when we're playing at Ibrox against a team like Kilmarnock. But like I say, the way we've been playing this season, you can't take anything for granted. We certainly looked a lot sharper in that first 5-10 minutes. Really looked like the players were on it. Asgard was shown for a lot of the ball. Diamande was shown for the ball, and more importantly, there was movement in front of the defenders. I just want to point out, we'll get into it a little bit more later, but Cornelius, when he was getting the ball, his first thoughts seemed to be looking forward, getting that ball forward. It wasn't coming back. It wasn't just recycling possession. He was wanting to make something happen. How important do you think that is for us as a team going forward, to have a defender like that who's wanting to get the attack started? We've certainly been missing it.
Yeah, I think Cornelius was excellent today. Spoiler alert, possibly man of the match. He, like you say, he's a defender that looks comfortable in defence, but also has an attacking edge to him. As he showed, he's a threat in the box from corners, and just really positive. We touched on the stints he'd had at left back prior to this match, where he looked really positive and he attacked well in there. And obviously, one game I forget the specific game, but got an assist at one point as well. And 1 goal, 1 assist, that's him already equal or better to most of our defenders from last season. I think off the top of my head, Proper got 2 goals, and Jeffrey, he had four assists and a goal, but I think the rest of them, it was all like 1 goal, 1 assist, if anything. So if he carries on like that, I expect we'll get a few more from him this season, and that's something we need. Again, we've talked about the lack of goals from the rest of the team, and centre backs are players you should be expecting to chip in a few goals from attacking corners. So I think we will see more of that. And like I say, it's a good attitude, that positivity, that willingness to drive forward and be positive on the ball, which we saw a lot from him, but from the team in general today as well.
Yeah, and we'll stick there because in the 14th minute it was Cornelius who got us off the mark today. It was a very simple goal when you look at it. Tavernier floated in a good ball from a free kick, and there was Danilo and Cornelius going for it, and Cornelius got his head on it. You could say it was a bit of a brave header because it looked like Danilo was going to kick him in the face, and he's kept his eye on the ball and put it in. We've been all right attacking set pieces this season, Doug. So it was what our play deserved after the first 14, 15 minutes, I think. How did you see that goal?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so on my notes here, just after kind of 10 minutes, I've noted down that we were moving the ball much quicker. We looked much more direct and, as I say, more positive in terms of getting the ball forward and trying to attack. And so I think that goal, was just rewards for that. It's a clever free kick. Obviously, he kind of goes to take it and then doesn't. I don't know if that was a fake out or just a misfire. But then, let's say just. Obviously Tavernier's been there for years, putting in decent crosses and pre-kicks and things like that, and puts another nice little floated ball in. And like you say, a great thing to see, two players fighting each other to get on the end of a ball to score a goal. It's exactly what you want to see from your players in positions like that. Obviously Danilo is not quite as tall as Cornelius, goes over his head, and Cornelius gets the header. But yeah, as I say, good to see a good little work free kick, something from the training ground, I think. Like you say, we have been a better. That's probably been one of the few things you could have said under Martin that we actually looked okay at, was free kicks and corners. So hopefully that will continue under the new management and we get more goals from that.
Yeah, and as that first half progressed, we were looking, in my opinion, we were looking really good down the left-hand side. Asgard, Diomande, Magoma all getting involved, giving the Kilmarnock right back a real torrid time, who was probably lucky not to pick up a booking in that first half. How did you see our forward play going? As I say, down the wings in general, to me it certainly looked like there was a lot more movement, a lot more fluidity from our forward players. It almost seemed like the shackles had been released from them and they were told, go out and do what you do.
Yep, absolutely. Got a comment here from Random Madness about Asgard in first class was top class. I thought Asgard was really good. He got about the pitch really well. He was linking up play and he looked really hungry. And he was much more forward thinking and just spent more time kind of up in those attacking areas, where I think under Martin he had a tendency to drop back a lot. So we have that kind of infamous now heat map of his where he looked like he was a left back as opposed to a number 10. And he's someone that certainly looks like he's been told to stay high up in the pitch and try and as I say, affect the play in that way, and he was really good at that today. And as were a number of the attacking players, like you said, I thought there was a lot of good interchange between players, particularly when we were getting into the sort of the wing areas, passing in and amongst one another, through balls as well. Again in the second half, which I don't want to jump too much into that straight away, but Moore in the second half I thought was excellent at that as well. And yeah, they just looked like they were enjoying themselves a bit more, and it's just like you say, kind of felt that little bit more free. And they didn't always come off. The passing I thought was still a little bit poor overall. Well, although we're going to be very positive, I think, today, because certainly in reflection to what we've had up until now, it's night and day. But there is still a lot of improvements to be made. Passing is one of them. Still caught a little bit sometimes in defence. Funnily, there was one point where we had the ball, and the only player in our half was Jack Butland. And it never occurred to me that the solution to our poor defending from a high line was to have a higher line. But there we go. But I think it kind of showed that was quite early on, and I think that kind of showed the intent and the aggression that Danny Rose obviously spoken to them about. He talked about hunting impacts in his presser. I think we saw that in today's game as well. Again, it could be better, but good early signs of things to come. And as I say, hopefully, these are early signs of what he's managed to do with them in a week. So hopefully, as those weeks build, we'll see more and more of those things and them improving at them as well.
Yes, yeah, definitely. 1-0 is always a precarious scoreline. Kilmarnock in that first half, they got into our box a couple of times, had a couple of snapshots that Jack Butland dealt with fairly easily. It didn't look like we were going to be doing anything, and then 5-6 minutes before half time, we get a corner that swung in, and Jack Butland's got to take the blame for this one, really. He's flapped at it, and the Kilmarnock centre-back, I think it was Stanger, I think his name is, put the ball into the net. At that point, what was your thinking when it's gone 1-1? We've had a lot of possession. We've not really looked like conceding. At the same time, we haven't created many more chances, but we look comfortable. 1-1 starts bringing up the old feelings again from pretty much most of the games this season. What was your thoughts behind that goal, and what did you think of it? After that?
Yeah, I would say that last kind of 10 minutes of the half, Kilmarnock started to come into the game a little bit more. They're kind of being a bit more combative and trying to get on the ball. Had a couple of shots, and it was just kind of that please no sort of feeling where it kind of felt like we'd had this positive half, and there's that thought of we're not going to have the same game again, where we're good in one half and then fade away, or old habits die hard kind of thing. Like I say, it's not a particularly great corner or anything, just swung in. Butland misjudges it, doesn't get his punch on it, and then Danilo is kind of left by his man, and so he's got an easy knock in. No one on the posts. I know that I guarantee that'll be mentioned on Heart and Hand tonight. No men on the posts. If you have a guy in the back post, potentially blocks that, but we'll see if any of that type of thing changes. But yeah, so if Butland gets to that, then it's not a problem. But it had to be the one player that's been the good player of the season that made the mistake for the goal. But yeah, like you say, at the moment, and obviously right before half time as well, which is always a good time to score when you're behind. I did kind of have that feeling of, okay, I hope we don't slip into bad habits again. But as we'll get on to, I think the right changes were made, and we managed to carry on really in the second half as we'd kind of done in the first.
Yeah, and that wasn't the end of the half. We did have the ball in the net just before half time. I wasn't going to spend too much time on this because, in my opinion, it was a fairly obvious offside. But I've seen on social media quite a lot of people arguing that it wasn't an offside, and how was it an intentional pass by Cornelius and everything else. But anyway, we've had the ball into the box. Kilmarnock keeper's taken it. As he's gone to clear it, he's bluted it off Cornelius, came back over the head of the defenders, and Majowski's put it in the net. He was quite clearly good 2 yards offside. As I said, Doug, for me, it was a clear offside, but some people seem to think that it wasn't, and it should possibly have counted. What was your view on it?
I don't see how anyone could consider that to not be a right decision. I didn't think the ref was particularly great today. He was letting a lot of things slide that I thought should have been bookings, but there's no complaints about that one. That was, as I say, was well offside, and unfortunately, good to see all three of our strikers get the ball in the net, but unfortunately that one didn't stand as a goal. But yeah, perfectly happy with that decision.
Yeah, so that takes us to half time, 1-1. And then in the second half, we've got a change there. Majowski coming off for Mikey Moore. And that had a real positive impact on the game, I think. Mikey Moore has been much maligned, rightly or wrongly, but he hasn't really shown up for us this season. But I thought that second half, he seemed to be getting played a lot more in the middle rather than out wide. And I think he really took the game by the scruff of the neck. He was happy to get on the ball. He was committing defenders and he was trying to make things happen. What was your view of Mikey Moore in that second half, Doug?
I thought he was excellent. He was all over the pitch. He was getting involved in the game. That was something I talked about in one of our pods at the tail end of the week when we were kind of talking about the whole Moore versus Curtis thing and why Moore keeps getting picked. And I think this displayed in a really positive way why Moore gets picked. And I said in that previous pod that it's because he involves himself in the game more, and he hadn't really been doing it to the best of his ability or getting really the outcomes that we'd wanted. But I think it's the type of thing that when you're a manager, it's similar to the concept. Managers sometimes will play strikers that they're maybe not getting goals all the time, but they're getting in positions to score goals all the time. And they'll talk about, I think that was something that was talked about Dessers once, where the manager said, well, he's always in the position to score goals, and that's the thing I like. And I think that's a similar thing to why Moore's played a lot, is that he involves himself in the game a lot, which I think a manager likes, because eventually you're likely to kind of turn the corner, and hopefully this is a game that will be a corner turn for Mikey Moore, because that is the player that I saw when I watched him in Tottenham last season, when I heard about us getting him to begin with, and I thought, oh, that's quite an exciting prospect, because he was much better. He was much more aggressive. He was tackling. He was on the ball a lot. He was involved in a lot of the play. Involved in a couple of chances, unlucky to not get an assist to Raskin near the end, and unlucky as well with his own shot in the second half as well that kind of deflected and just went wide. But yeah, much better from him. And as I say, that's the type of performance that we want to see from him week in, week out.
Yeah, 100%. If he can kick on, that would be a lot of benefit to our team. Like I said, we were 1-1 at half time. The players could have gone into the shell. They could have been thinking, oh, here we go again. They didn't. They came out the second half on the front foot, and we were rewarded into the second half. Good attacking play down the left-hand side, and Magoma putting in a really good cross, and Danilo a really brilliant header. That wasn't an easy finish for Danilo. He was having to generate the power on it and get it into the corner. What was your thoughts behind that second goal? And Danilo in general today, how do you think his performance was?
Yeah, again, another player. I think we've got a handful of the more fringe players today, or players that haven't been performing, that put in a shift today. And Danilo was the same. Obviously, as we said earlier, he was writing about it when the first goal was being scored, and I thought his movement was decent. And obviously he sort of tops it off with a goal. I do think we could probably still get more out of him. He wasn't quite as good as some of the other players like Moore, for example, but still a positive display. And obviously at the end of the day, with a striker, if you've scored a goal, then you've contributed to your job. And it's a really, really good header, because the ball is kind of almost getting behind him and slightly the way. He really needs to crank his neck to get it into that far corner and past the keeper. Really good goal. And again, obviously rules come in quite clearly. It's very open to giving players chances. It's he's played more under. I think he's played more under Rule than he did under Martin in the space of a week. So he's obviously shown something in training for Rule to be happy to give him that opportunity. And obviously, if he's going to pay it back in goals, that's exactly what we want to see.
Yeah. Thank you, Gaming for Dads. Game was a huge step in the right direction. If you watched the pre-match pod that we done, I think myself and Doug said we just wanted to see hunger and passion from the players first and foremost, and we'll take any sort of win today. And I think we got that in spades I think every player really put a shift in today. As the second half continued, we looked a lot more in control. I certainly didn't get the feeling, Doug, that we were going to concede a second. But in saying that, Jack Butland pulled off a brilliant save to keep it at 2-1. I think it was Watson I think it was a shot. It's taken a deflection and then came to Anderson at the back post, who'd peeled off Tavernier. How big a save was that, Doug?
Yeah, it was. Tavernier showing the worst side of himself in that one. He lets the man peel off him far too easily. Ball goes over his head, and so say the header was tight into the bottom corner. So Butland gets down well and saves it, and that ball goes in. It does change the complexion of the game. We have seen obviously goals knock the team's confidence, and you could see it potentially ending in a draw. But as I say, Butland putting the doing what good goalkeepers do. He had a gaff in the first half, but he's not let that affect him. He was perfectly solid for the rest of the game when he was needed, and pulled off a big save there to keep us positive and keep the second half sort of, as you say, largely all in our favour.
Yeah, after that was really the last time that Kilmarnock really troubled us. I think I can't recall any other time they caused our defence much problems, which, considering the way the season's gone, has to be looked upon as a positive. We certainly weren't getting ripped open through the midfield. The centre backs weren't getting exposed. Did you feel that today there was a little bit more of a defensive security, or how did you see the defensive side of our game today?
Yeah, I thought we looked a bit better. There was still moments, like obviously the one we just mentioned there. Kilmarnock did have a couple of chances, and there's a couple of near misses as well, where a pass that was maybe a bit short, but it got to its man in the end, and that kind of thing. So still things to improve, but overall they looked fine. So they did look more comfortable. Obviously, we find out that back three, as you said. So that if that's something that they persist with, then you'll hopefully see them continue to grow and improve. And obviously with that, I think with that performance from Cornelius as well, that will have helped to install a lot of confidence in the back line, because, as I say, he seemed really assured with himself. Again, I think I'm using the word combative about 100 times today, but looked, as I say, combative, looked up for the fight when he had players going at him, and so everyone, I think, did their bit and looked really good. Magoma looked a bit more comfortable because he didn't quite have as much onus on him defensively, I think, in the match, so he was like free to go forward, and I thought he, as I say, looked a lot more comfortable, and we got a better performance at him. So to say, hopefully that will improve. I do think, as I say, there is still room for improvement there, but they looked much better today than they have done in other games. That's for sure.
Yeah, as the saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day, so just seeing any sort of improvement, I would have taken. You mentioned Magoma there. I think in an attacking sense, I think he's a very good asset. I think we will see the best if we continue with him as a wing back. I think we will see the best of him there. Defensively, a little bit of question marks, but the defensive duties he had to do today, I thought he done well. As the half went on, we were looking to get that third goal. We made a substitution. Danilo came off. Chermiti came on. Obviously been very much maligned after his performance on Thursday. But again, from the moment he came onto the pitch, and I'll get onto his goal in a minute, but from the moment he came onto the pitch, his hold-up play was excellent. His movement was really good. And he was bringing players into play. It was night and day from Thursday night. I say we'll get to his goal in a moment, but those initial first 3-4 minutes when he was on, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, he showed a lot better today than what he's got about him. I think his first touch is perhaps still a little suspect at times. Occasionally the ball came into him and he has a tendency to sometimes let the ball nick upwards, which makes it a lot more difficult for him to control. But aside from that, as you said, he kind of looked confident, and he was getting involved in play, dropped off a lot quite well to get involved in the play, which led to a few decent chances with players like Raskin running past. And again, that's something I'm really excited to see, because we just don't have enough of that type of thing. When you have your striker drop in and then midfielders running past them, that's how you create openings, by having players running past lines that they're normally in, and defenders having to make decisions of, am I sticking with a striker I'm marking, or Raskin's away to run past me, am I going to drop to follow him? Is someone else following him? That's how you create these types of confusions and defenses when they're tight, looking to stay tight and organised, is having players run past their lines and their spaces, and we don't do enough of that. Said it time and time again. Arfield was a player that was really good at doing it, and it's something we've missed since he's been away. Raskin, I think, in the last sort of year or so, has really shown the ability to do that and got himself a few goals doing it as well, a couple of assists. Almost got himself a goal today as well. So that was really good. If he can do that, then I think, as I say, you will get more goals. Obviously, a cracking strike from him today. He's tall and he's strong, so hopefully his hold-up play can prove to be beneficial if he's got a bit more confidence, and the players around him are playing better, and we shorten the spaces between them. I think the one thing he had shown in his previous games was his strength to potentially get on the end of crosses. I don't think we necessarily saw that much of that today, but yeah, his overall play looked solid. As I say, another player coming in who's been poor that looked better. So hopefully that's a sign that Rowe can get more out of some of these players.
Yeah, and you brought up a comment there from Anderson saying we looked more assured second half. Passing accuracy was better. And more importantly, more direct passing. There was actually purpose to the passing. It was going forward, and you could see what the plan was. So we get the third goal, Chermiti with his first goal for us. And I'll tell you what I really liked about this goal, Doug, is that despite all of the criticism of him, the ball has been played to him by a Kilmarnock defender through a mistake. He could quite easily have just passed that off. There was a player to the left of him. I can't remember who it was, but it was a player to the left of him. He could have quite easily have just passed the responsibility off to him, but he was like, no, I'm taking this on. And while the goalkeeper probably should have done better to it, it's been hit with power, it's on target, and he's took that responsibility on, and he's got his first goal. Do you think this will build his confidence now? You think this will see him getting a start, getting more minutes? How do you think this goal will help him?
Well, yeah, it's got to be good for his confidence. I did notice he was giving it a wee bit of the chatty hand as he went off to score. So he's obviously aware, I think, of a lot of the narrative that's been going on around him, and that'll be difficult for him. He is obviously still a young lad, and he's come in for this huge transfer value that's nothing to do with him, nothing within his control, but nonetheless, he's the one that will bear the pressure of that on the pitch. So getting that goal will help to get his confidence going. He absolutely lashes the ball. Like you say, he could have taken options, but I think he's seen the space in front of him. The defender had a choice to, like I was saying about before, he had a choice of, am I going to come and close him down? But he seems to hesitate for a second in terms of looking left to whoever was coming down the left channel, and that split second, I think, makes up his mind. He's like, I'm going to crack this, and let's say just absolutely lashes it. The keeper does get his hand to it, but there's nothing he can really do about it due to the ferocity of the shot. And like I say, that should hopefully give him confidence to push on. And like I say, all three strikers getting the ball in the net, albeit Miovski's getting chopped off. So that's good for all of their confidences. But I think Chermiti, he needed a goal, and Danilo, he needed a goal as well. So hopefully that gets them both firing. And I want both of them to be scoring, to be hungry, to be feeling good, and to be a battle for that position, because that will get the best out of everyone. If you've got three strikers and only two positions or one position for them to fight for, and they're all scoring goals, then you give the manager a headache, and you give him reasons to play, potentially different players at different times. We were stuck last season pretty much with just Dessers, and that was it, whether it was due to injuries or form or whatever else. It wasn't until Ligaman sort of finally started playing more regularly that we had sort of more options, but even then injuries in other areas of the pitch kind of left him often playing out on the left. So it's good to have the potential for options, because I think we've got options elsewhere in the pitch, but all three strikers hadn't really kicked on yet. So hopefully, again, it's only one game, but hopefully it can be a kicking off point for them, and Will can be sitting there going, good job, everyone got the ball in the net today. Under other circumstances, maybe all three have a goal. So keep going and keep fighting, and let's make this a competition.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, totally agree. It can only be a good thing if our strikers are scoring and we're getting chances for them, which we've obviously been missing for quite a lot of this season. The last sort of 20 minutes went by. We looked again in control. We've had some good play from our forward players without really creating a huge amount. We had the ball in the net again in the 86th minute through Nico Raskin, and he's picked up the ball well in midfield. Raskin took a bit of a poor touch, won the 50-50 tackle with the defender, and it's broke to Moore, who's played him in. And it's been a really smart finish from Raskin into the bottom corner. Really liked that goal. It was after a lengthy VAR review. It was given as offside. Now, Doug, I don't know if there was anything shown. I don't know if there was any lines shown on the telly and whatnot, but it must have been offside. I'm not disputing that. To me, it looked onside from the initial pictures. You might disagree. Other people might disagree. But when VAR decisions are taking that long over an offside, where is the obvious error, the clear and obvious error? Surely it should be give the benefit to the attacker. We want to see goals in games. That's what football's about. That's why you go to football. What's your view on it? First of all, you're happy it was offside, and what's your view on how long it took to get to the decision?
I'm not 100% sure, because we didn't see any lines or anything. So it looked like it could have been bang on to me. But the problem is that we only really had the kind of one angle shown on TV, and it would have been swung around a little bit to get the lines proper. So there was the possibility it was offside. But yeah, it was super tight. But I mean, it cannot take that long. It was so long for that decision to be made, and it's just ridiculous. I do agree that if it's that fine a margin, well, first of all, there's only presumably one of two reasons it took that long. Either A, they're really bad at their job and take so long to line it up, in which case we need better people, or it was so tight that they were struggling to make a decision as to what they were going to go with. And if it's that one, then yeah, I totally agree that I think you should be given the benefit of the doubt to the attacker. That's usually how decisions tend to be laid out, because we do want to see games with more goals, and you usually want to favour the attacking team and give them the benefit of the doubt. So I would have liked that. It would potentially have been the goal of the game had it stood. It was a really, really crisp strike into the bottom corner, and as I say, it would have been a really good one. I mean, Cassie raises another good point here. They didn't have that angle, most likely. Don't know. That's another problem, because we don't get to see a lot of the time. I don't know exactly what they're looking at. We've borne the brunt of, if folk remember, the goal we had ruled out against Borussia Dortmund that would have won us the Ibrox tie. The supposed rear view that sees Morelos' foot clearly go down to the ground was apparently not shown, and that might have changed that decision. So yeah, as I say, it's just frustrating when you're sitting there waiting for so long, and then particularly when obviously you end up on the wrong side of the decision, from our point of view anyway. There needs to be a way to try and to quicken that up. Dare I say that's a kind of thing, something like AI might be able to help them with, to draw the lines quicker. Then they could maybe adjust them from there. Because if it is just guys drawing manual lines, then there's got to be ways to improve that. So it doesn't take that long in every other league. Sometimes it can take a while, but not all the time. And I mean, you've got competitions with automatic offsides pretty much now as well. So as I say, the main thing from that really is, luckily as we've come out on the winning side, I can kind of say my main takeaway from that is it just has to be faster. In terms of whether or not it was offside, it could have gone either way, to be honest.
Yeah. So just to sort of wrap up, the game sort of petered out a little bit. Nothing really happened in the last few minutes. I want to just take a moment to say about all the substitutes who came on. I mentioned pre-match, I looked at the bench and I thought, where is the inspiration going to come from if we need it? I thought all the substitutes that came on today, there was Connor Barron, Max Aarons, Chermiti, Mikey Moore, and Lyle Cameron. I thought all 5 of them came on and contributed to the game in positive ways. So that is certainly something for us to build on. Just before we finish, Doug, and anyone in the chat, if you want to put this in, who was your man of the match? I think Rangers TV might have gave it to Cornelius, but who was your man of the match?
Yeah, they gave it to Cornelius, and I don't think I can really argue with that, although I think a lot of players did well. I said in our group chat, Mikey Moore, for me, made a big impact when he came on. I think he was instrumental in helping us keep that momentum into the second half and not let things drop. I've lost Tomo, but we'll carry on. But yeah, Cornelius, I think he looked really strong in all areas of the pitch. Welcome back, Tomo.
Sorry,
so furious with my man of the match choice. You just were like, no, I'm not having it. Yeah, as I was just saying there, Moore, I thought, came in and really helped keep pushing the momentum in the second half without even a big difference. But I think Cornelius is the right choice for me. He both perfect timing. I was about to quote exactly what IB Rocks has said there. He attacked and defended well, so he was effective all across the park. Obviously, he gets the goal and amongst there as well. So I think Cornelius was a well-deserved winner for me. But as I say, a shout out to Mikey Moore, but also, I mean, a couple of the guys have mentioned in the chat. Where is it? I've lost it. Somebody, I apologize, I can't find your comment now, but someone mentioned Megoma as well. I thought did well. And you know, everyone was a step better, which is good. So, but yeah, Cornelius for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no complaints with Cornelius, but I would say, in my opinion, because I have been very harsh on him and I've been very vocal about him. But for me, I thought Asgard was excellent today. Faded a little bit in the second half, but that first half, that's what I want to be seeing from him, game in, game out, looking to attack, setting up chances, having those little flicks around the box that just puts defenders off. So for me, Asgard was my man of the match, but Cornelius, I got no arguments with that. Right, guys, so we'll wrap this up. We've been going for nearly 40 minutes. As I say, it's been a little bit longer than usual, but we've won a game at Ibrox, so, you know, it's a special occasion. Obviously, another team lost earlier today. That puts us within 5 points of them. So despite us having a poor start to the season, things could be looking up. We've got Hibernian away on Wednesday and then a cup semi-final next Sunday. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Rangers Journal on YouTube. Loads of great content that you're missing out on. Tell your friends about us. Let us know what you would like to see. There's content every day, podcasts every day. Please like and subscribe. And any last words from you, Doug, before we wrap up?
I like this winning thing. Can we keep it up, please?
I think we can all echo that, and we'll leave on that sentiment. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in, getting involved in the comments, and have a great Sunday evening. And remember, every night is a Rangers Journal night.
gentlemen.